A special Coexistence soccer game about to get underway in Jerusalem. It will be hosted by President Reuvin Rivlin. The idea is to promote good sportsmanship and tolerance ahead of next week's professional soccer league matchup between arch rivals Beitar Jerusalem and Sachnin. They are more than arch rivals. Those games frequently descend into madness, racist and vile chants on both sides, violence and threats. With me in studio is I-24 News sports contributor Yoav Borowitz. Yoav, explain, I guess, really to our international audience. Israel has its own pro soccer league. Everyone has their rivals. What sets Sachnin and Beitar apart from all the rest? Why is this a national concern?
In addition to it being a football rivalry between two teams that aspire for the same goals, also Beitar Jerusalem represents the Israeli right, to some extent even the Israeli far right, and Sachnin represents the Israeli Arab society and also some pro-Arab, maybe sometimes anti-Israeli Jewish sentiments, to the extent that the Sachnin fans sometimes chant songs against Judaism and vice versa, of course, from Beitar Jerusalem. So in the last few years, both clubs decided, and the Football League decided, that the fans of Sachnin will not be able to travel to Jerusalem, to the games that Beitar is hosting, and vice versa, Beitar fans will not be able to go to Sachnin. But this summer, this off-season, both Beitar's management and Sachnin's decided that the fans should be allowed to travel to away games, and they hope that this will actually not increase but decrease the animosity between those two fan bases.
In years past, I mean, you mentioned just how tense it is. I mean, there were riots. It was violent. There were fights. Police officers were getting hurt. And so the decision was made for safety to not let them travel to each other's stadiums. Have things really calmed down enough that it is safe?
I think it will be safer than the past, but it's just an hypothesis because I think Beitar fans lately are behaving much better.
They did get an award. They're being honored for their efforts to try and fight it.
You hear less and less racist chants, and also on the Sachnin front, if they're playing other Jewish teams, most times there are no problems whatsoever. Still, there's some issues. Beitar Jerusalem still never signed an Arab-Israeli player, and Sachnin also used to sign a lot of Jewish players, but it signs less and less Jewish players. It became the home of all the Arab players. So we get here something that is more than football, that represents to the fan bases much more than football. But the hope is that the animosity from years past will be decreased, but it's going to be interesting to follow because this game tells us a story about Israeli society.
And this coexistence game, President Rivlin, really national politicians who admittedly, many of them, the Prime Minister, the President, they are big fans of Beitar. They want, though, these games to go off smoothly.
Yes, they're big Beitar fans. We're talking President Reuvin, Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Lieberman, but many of them stopped going to Beitar matches in the last, at least Rivlin said, I stopped going. Also, Ehud Olmert, the former Prime Minister, huge Beitar fan, they stopped going to Beitar matches because they did not like the racist chants. So now there's new ownership in Beitar Jerusalem that is much less right-wing also, and they're hoping for better behavior from the fans. But still, it's going to be a challenge and going to be interesting to follow whether Beitar will sign Arab players within the next year.
With a new owner as well. All right, Yoav, thank you so much for breaking it down.